if you're viewed as having low self-esteem because of your sexual behavior, you're labeled as having low self-esteem, and that will affect you getting asked out on a date, according to studies, and also being elected in office. This just in, women are still judged for having casual sex.
Tell me more.
I found this new study published on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. That I found very interesting, despite like the obvious fact that women are judged for having casual sex.
Okay.
The article was in Metro UK, and it was written by the lead researcher, whose name is Jamie Arona Krems.
Okay.
And I love how they started this off, just because of this. I love this specific quote. They wrote that F. Scott Fitzgerald called the Roaring Twenties. F. Scott Fitzgerald called the Roaring Twenties the most expensive orgy in history. Have you ever heard that? I've never heard that. I guess I didn't really teach much about him at school, but
I had to do a lot of papers on him.
English major. My hat's to you. And we've talked about Hot Girl Summer, the resurgence of the Roaring Twenties because of the influenza, and a lot of people are predicting that our pent-up sexual energy will be released this summer. Specifically this Yale sociologist, and he said this summer will be marked by a surge in sexual licentiousness, whatever, particularly a Yale sociologist, Nicholas Christakis. But despite all the positive bitch flicks and movies showing female sexuality as empowered and fun and you're not just a broken person if you want sex, this latest study proves that people still judge women for having casual sex.
Yeah.
And so this summer will be like a hot girl summer, but not without slut shaming, I believe. And the researchers say there's a lot of studies on the prejudice against women who fuck, just sluts, but not on the implicit theories people have about them. So that's what this study did. And I'm not going over all of the 6 experiments that comprised it. Yeah. But I love that there were 6 to show how thorough this was. And there was a sample size of 1,469 adults. Love how thorough this is. Now, in the first study, they asked the participants to estimate the correlation between people's sex behavior and their self-esteem. All the people in the scenarios were described as a man, woman, or person with casual sex tendencies, or they're serial monogamous, or no info about their behavior. So the people with no info about sex behavior were the control. And the results showed that participants viewed women in monogamous relationships with having very high self-esteem. Casual sex was associated with low self-esteem only for women, not for men. And so the researchers ask, is this the product of sexist beliefs, ideology, or religion? And it's not at all. So, or according to their study. Now, they say that people...
But so what is it the result of?
I'm getting into it. People assume that women have casual sex because they're not successful in a long-term relationship. This is again what the study is showing. And they say that does influence the stereotype about women's self-esteem. And the more that Americans believe women don't want casual sex, the more they associate women's casual sex with low self-esteem. So in the second study, they told participants that a woman was having casual sex and she was very happy and confident, and would that change their belief? That's what they were posing the question. And it doesn't change their belief. Even if they know this person who is slutty is happy and confident, they still think that she has low self-esteem or is not happy in her dating life. And they also viewed a woman who's in a monogamous relationship and very dissatisfied with her sex life and partnership. They perceive that woman as having greater self-esteem than the confident slut.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then here's the kicker in study number 3. among the participants who showed this stereotyping, they ran through their self-esteem reports and sexual activity, and no association was found between their self-esteem and sexual behavior with the women. When they surveyed the men or reviewed the men's reports, men who reported as having more casual sex tended to have lower self-esteem. So completely contrary to like the theories or ideas that people are having. So why is it so persistent, this stereotype? They scratched off the media, because even though portraying slutty women in media as deficient or whatever, that can help fuel the stereotype, but like, where did it come from?
Right. That's still not the root cause of it. That's the reflection of it.
Exactly. So eloquent, Rachel. And then we look to reproductive biology, right? Men have way more to gain from casual sex than women, because men can spread their seed. Women are out of commission for 9 months.
Right.
And so they're like, okay, maybe our Stone Age brains are like lacking. And you could just say fuck it and be like, I don't care if people view me negatively. But the thing is, if you're viewed as having low self-esteem because of your sexual behavior, you're labeled as having low self-esteem, and that will affect you getting asked out on a date, according to studies, and also being elected in office. You're not going to have like a sexually active woman in office because you think they have low self-esteem.
Even looking at that for men, like, we don't really particularly like having someone who's not a family man in office.
So true.
But I the whole time I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about how like we tell women and everyone from like the beginning that like women are meant to be mothers, they're meant to be wives, like that is the goal for us. So like, how could we be happy with anything less than that goal?
And focusing on the family unit, the children. So they say that it's inconclusive. But I
it sounds like it's probably just like a multitude of factors. Like, I can't say I'm surprised, and like that definitely bums me out. Do you know the percentages of like how people felt this way, or just like it was just like this is like how it swayed?
I couldn't access the full research doc.
I mean, like, obviously such a bummer, and like only you can decide your own value and your own perception of yourself, and ultimately like other people's perceptions of you don't matter. And you should slut it up if you want to. And people who think that you are less than because of that don't deserve your time, is my response to this. So it's pretty crazy that like all of it was just so implicit. And I want to leave with this, what the researcher wrote in like the last paragraph of this paper. In Western society, women are rarely disparaged for breaking glass ceilings to become leaders, professors, CEOs, and astronauts. So why do they continue to be denigrated as they become increasingly open and willing to go to bed with others at their own whim, off their own accord? So like, sleeping around and being elected like should be breaking a glass ceiling, or I mean merely just not being judged for it. But alas. And I do slut around because I have low self-esteem. But now that I've acknowledged it, I'm working on it. Yeah, but you could also stay in a bad relationship because you have low self-esteem. Or stay in a good relationship because you have bad self-esteem. You know what I mean? Like, and just be like afraid of not, like, that might be true for you, but it doesn't even really feed into this study. It's like people do things for a lot of different reasons.
Totally.
That we're all just trying to work through.
Yeah.
So there's no right or wrong way to do your life.
The right way is what makes you feel good, and that's not hurting anyone else.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Simple enough. On to you.